Alright, peoples. This is a continuation from part 15 where we were working on the clutch side. And if you want to get caught up to where we are right here, if you haven't seen the last video, part 15. Part 15 is where we actually put the oil pump together and we put the Kickstarter together. We put the Kickstarter in, we got everything situated, and we got the cam chain in, we got everything rocking and rolling. So if you want to go back and watch that, yeah, we're going to continue on. We're going to get that clutch into there. We are going to get the oil pump rotor into there. We're going to get the right side clutch cover all put together, all buttoned up with the seals and the clutch lifter arm and the decompression cam release, all that good stuff into there. We're going to get that buttoned up with the gasket. Then we're going to flip this dog, we're going to flip the motor over, and we're going to put in the stator side. We're going to put in the flywheel, and we're going to put in the alternator into the case cover. We're going to get the left side cover buttoned down with the gasket. And yeah, we're going to get this motor ready to be put right into the dog down here. Look at that. Yeah, we're going to get this motor down in here. We're going to put the bottom end in first, and then we're going to build the top end while it's in the machine, because it's just easier to work that way. We don't have to worry about, because I feel that's going to be much easier to work with, and once we're done, it'll be where it belongs already. So, we have a motor stand already set up where it's exactly the way it's supposed to be. So, the delay, of course, has been because we got the gas tank to get painted, and we had to take advantage of the Phoenix weather here. That's a video that's coming right after this motor. Alright folks, let's give it another rip and see if we can't get this baby to pop on out. And I'm going to try it from a different angle this time. Now I'm going to just fucking give it a crank. Oh, look at that, folks. Woo! We had some breaking cooler weather. Yep, down in the 80s. Jacket weather. Yeah, got down to like 84 or something like that, 82 something. So I had to bust the jacket out, and no, I'm just kidding. It cooled down into like it was about like 70s, 80s, stuff like that, and it was cooler at night. So I had to get the painting done right now because the hundreds are coming here in Phoenix, and once they start, they do not stop for 4 months. It will be 100 or above every day for 4 months. So I had to get the gas tank painted. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about that. You needed good weather, good cool weather, good warm but cool. Between 68 and 90 degrees or something like that is the best painting. So that was perfect prime temperature here in Phoenix. The tank is coming along. Look at all these pictures. Yeah, the tank is coming along. So we started with some body filler, and we got everything dialed in. Then we hit it with the primer, hit it with the etching primer. I forgot to take pictures of the etching primer, I apologize for that, but here it is all primed up. While we're letting the filler primer cure up, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's just start with the clutch and get onto it. Oh yeah, so if you're new here, make sure that you subscribe. I know a lot of you that are watching these are not subscribed. Probably like 75% of you are not subscribed to the channel, and that would help me out a bunch if you could just crack that subscribe button down there and click the all and ring the bell to get notified whenever all this stuff comes out, because, you know, why wouldn't you, man? You'll be notified whenever the next video comes out with the gas tank and putting this motor into the frame down here, and we're going to be starting it up for the first time here shortly. We're going to be fire it up, let the engines roll. It's time to burn it down. Black Label Society. Oh yeah, my favorite band. So anyway, but yeah, without further ado, you know, let's just get on down into this thing and we'll finish up the clutch side here, and we'll flip the motor over. We'll get the alternator side, the stator side done, and yeah, we can move on to getting this dog into the machine down here. So without further ado, let's go. Woo! It's exciting! Here we go. All right. Next, we're going to install the clutch. And the clutch is going to be all these pieces right here. Oh yeah, look at all that stuff we're going to put on there. And look how clean it is. If you remember, when we tore this motor down, you can link to it up there if you want. This thing was sitting out in the Arizona desert for about 10 years or so, I suppose. But man, look how clean we got all this stuff. And I think it might have actually helped because of all that Arizona dust and sand and stuff that was on it. It kind of protected everything. So yeah, if you go back and watch that video, you'll notice that it looked pretty nasty. And here we are right now with our beautiful clean clutch side case, if you want to compare it to the way it used to look. Yeah, everyone thought it was rust, but it was not rust. It's just the Arizona desert sand that was all packed on top of it. But yeah, let's get these pieces in. We got brand new bearing, and we got brand new clutch plates back there. And yeah, without further ado, let's just get this sucker in, shall we? Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put on the clutch guide, and it's going to go right on here. But first, we're going to use some Ultra Slick Permatex assembly lube. Outside and inside. And it's going to go with this right here is going to be the base that's going to sit on the bearing. Alright, next is going to be the clutch basket. And this little gear right here is going to interact with the Kickstarter right here. There you go, so you want to get that in there. Alright, next we got our thrust washer. Alright, next is going to be the pressure plate. Alright folks, so I tried to stack the plates and the fibers in on top of the pressure plate first, but man, then you can't get anything lined up when you try to put the center on. What I've come to the conclusion is, my trials are your tribulations, or whatever the hell you want to say. What I've come to the conclusion is we must build this core here first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the center over, and we're going to start out with a fiber, and then we're going to put a plate on, and then a fiber. I'm going to try to line these little notches up on the fibers. We can twist them once we get it, into place and stuff, but we'll try to line them up. And then a plate. And then a fiber. And then a plate. Oh yeah, one thing to notice with these plates too is there's a flat side and there's kind of like a curved side in a way. And it doesn't matter which direction you go. You just want to keep them all going the same direction. And once again, there's no evidence to even support that, but I just feel like if it's uniform, it'll be uniform. So we're going to keep on placing them all like that. With the flat side down is what I'm doing. And then another fiber. And then a plate. And then the last fiber. And now we can take the pressure plate and we can put it right on through, and we should lock into the fiber there, or into the blast plate. Now we can put that doggone in there. Alright, now we can install our clutch core here that we got assembled, and we're going to put a pressure plate side down. So let's get that dog up on out of there. And it's going to go pressure plate side down. And you want to get all these guys lined up so they flow right in. Which is easier said than done. And the gear. You got to get the gear lined up also. So we missed one of the metals in there. What a pain in the ass this is. Alright, this is fucking pissing me off, dude. Come on, man. All right, now we have that in there. It only took like 8 tries to get that thing in there. That thing's kind of a pain in the ass. Now you should have to install your washer, but mine happens to be stuck inside of here, so my washer is installed by no choice. I have no choice but to install the washer. So then we're going to get the bolt on. And the bolt gets torqued between 36 and 44 foot-pounds, so I'm going to use 36 because I feel that's plenty. We're going to peen it anyway. And this is an old bolt, or an old nut, which they don't make anymore. So I got to use the old one. And don't know how strong it is, so man, we're just going to go the minimum 36 and make the specs. And then peen it up and we should be good to go. So yeah, let's get it torqued. Alright, so the way we're going to get this torqued is we have a Motion Pro basket holder here. And we're going to use the top, these two little prongs right here. I'm not sure if this is the right way to do it, but it's the only way I can think of to get it done. So what you want to do is make sure you put one on this side and one on this side, because we're going to be putting pressure this direction on this guy. So we want to use these 2 points, not these. We'll break these. So if we put it right in like so, we should get both of these thick little knobs that stick out. And I hope they have enough pressure for 36 foot-pounds, because if I break it, then I'm going to have to get another one. And I'm going to get one eventually, but I don't want to do it now. But anyway, we got 36 foot-pounds we need to snag out of this dog, so let's see if we can't get it done. Ooh! Ooh! God damn, everything's falling apart. Ah, there we go, 36. And we didn't break anything, thank God. So, whoo! All right, got it torqued up. All right, now that we got this nut torqued, we're gonna go ahead and peen it. And I find the easiest way is to make sure that that baby is up top, in the way the motor's sitting right here. And we're gonna use a punch and a hammer. And we're just gonna take that right here, like so. And you just want to flatten it out is all, just so that it can't back itself off. And there we go. I say that's good enough. We're peened. Next, we can get our springs in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dip them in a little bit of oil. All right, so now we got the springs in, we can put this guy up on top with the 4 bolts, and we got ourselves a new bearing here that's going to go inside of here, but we're not going to put that on right yet. We're going to wait and do that last. We're going to put the oil pump rotor on here first and get everything situated and get everything ready to be locked down and sealed up, and then we'll put the bearing in there, and we'll just have to make a note of that. But anyway, let's get these plates in there. What you want to do, we're just going to get them started. And you definitely want to make sure that this ridge is facing up, because that's where the bearing is going to sit in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to zip these down in a crisscross pattern, and we're going to not go all the way down. We're going to do it in like 2 or 3 stages. So and then these are going to get torqued to 6 foot-pounds. There's no need to over-torque these things because they are so easy to snap off. And they don't need to be super tight because they have these springs that are in there for that reason. They're kind of like a lock nut in a way. So that spring provides some tension back the other way. And 6 foot-pounds is plenty. That'll be 74 inch-pounds. All right, we're going to torque these in a crisscross pattern. 74. My hand, that's all oily. My hands are slipping. We're going to have to get a rag on there. All right, so my hands were all oily from, oiling up these plates and everything. And I was slipping off of here. I can't even get 74 inch-pounds of torque on this dog. So I found a new use for the Motion Pro holder. We're going to put it right in here and just clamp it on there. And now we'll be able to torque these things. 74. 74. 74. And 74. All right, so the Motion Pro holder comes in handy once again. Boom, clutch installed. Now let's move on to this oil pump rotor, this oil pump filter rotor, and we can be done with this side. And we can seal it up. Woo! All right, let's get it done. All right, so the next step we're going to do is the oil pump. Well, this is actually, what is it called? The oil filter rotor. I do believe that's what this is. And we got ourselves a new gasket to put in. And we got a few pieces to assemble right here. And then we're going to drop that sucker right on here, but right on the crankshaft. But first, we're going to put on the drive gear. And there's a little trick to that, and I'll show you how that rolls. So yeah, let's get on down to it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to put the drive gear on. But the way it sits, as you can see, of course there's only one way this goes on, like this, right? But you can't put it on, right? And you may be thinking to yourself, son of a bitch, I got to take off the clutch. What's going on? I don't want to take the clutch off. I already got it torqued down and everything. I should have been paying attention, but guess what? Not to fret. You were paying attention. You just didn't even know it. Anyhow, check it out. Right here, there's a little cut in the clutch basket. And you align this little cutout notch right here. Boom. Now, what? Boom. Slides right on. But I forgot the important step. What we're going to do is we're going to hit it with some ultra slick engine lube, assembly lube. So we're going to put some on the splines here. And before it all drips away, we're just going to get that sucker all lubed up. Now we're ready to rock and roll. Now we got to watch out because we can't spin it. We don't want to screw up our crank here. We don't want to mess our crank up. We might need to use that crank someday. Woo! I'll be here all day. Anyhow, next we're going to install the oil filter rotor. And we're just going to take this dog and make sure that it faces out like this. And just slam it right down onto, right on there. All right, then we need a washer. And now, these are left-handed threads, so make note of that. They're gonna spin this way. And now we can torque this thing down to 36 foot-pounds. It calls for between 36 and 43 foot-pounds, but I'm going to use the minimum because we're reusing that nut that we can't get anymore. So, yeah, we can't get the nut no more. Woo, that blows. Anyway, let's get that baby torqued down, and I'm going to show you a little trick here. Flip our torque wrench to left-handed threads. And then what we're going to do is we are going to take a penny and put it right in there. And now we can get this baby torqued up to 36 foot-pounds. $36. That's what 36 foot-pounds does to a penny. Now we need to do the same thing that we did with the clutch, is we need to stake this guy. So we're going to get out our punch and we're going to give it a couple of knocks. There you go. We're all staked up. Alright, so the last step is we need to put the cover on. But first, we're going to have to assemble it. We have a few pieces. These pieces right here are going to go, this guy is going to go through the spring. So the spring is going to go on top. So this guy is going to go down through the spring, this direction. And it's going to get hooked into this end with this little hole and this cotter pin. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of assembly lube to this guy. This will make things a whole lot easier. And then we're just going to take this guy, put him in the spring, and shove him right on down in there. till the spring latches into the back of here. And then we'll just spin it till you can see the hole through here. And we'll take our cotter pin and right through there. And that's all there is to that. And then we'll take us our brand new gasket and we'll actually put it on here. It seems like it will be easier. Then we'll line up the holes, and chances are that you have Phillips head screws. I only had 2 screws that came with this motor, and they were both stripped, and I got them out. Once again, if you want to watch the old when I tore it down, you can see what they look like, and someone had this thing all jacked up. But I happened to find some in my collection of screws and stuff, where I had some Allen heads that have the same cutout, the same countersink that goes in here as the originals. So bonus and perfect. And since these aren't the originals, I'm going to go ahead and use some blue Loctite on all of these. And we'll just snug these down. And there we go. We're all oil filter rotored up. And that seems to be it, right? We got everything in there. We got the timing chain in, we got the timing chain guide, we got the shift linkage, we got the oil pump, we got the Kickstarter, we got the clutch, and we have the oil filter rotor. I think we're ready to seal this dog up. The hells yeah. Let's get her sealed up. Woo! Alright, so next, before we can seal this dog up with the clutch side, till we can drop the case on, we're going to go ahead and put some seals on. We got a seal here, and a seal on top. And we have the brand new OEM seals. And this one is an oil ring that goes on to the dipstick right here. And alright. Alright, first is the Kickstarter seal. And we're going to use some Permatex assembly lube, just a little light coat on the outside of here, just to help preserve it and keep it nice. I got a nice little container. In case you were wondering, these are from a RC model car kit that I bought. Seems to work out pretty nice. Just a little bit. We just want a light coat on here. Barely anything, just enough to give it a little help. And it's going to go with the riding side up. And to help it out, we're going to use a 19mm socket and a hammer. You just want that guy bottomed out in there. And there you go, there's one seal. Now we're going to do the same thing with the decompression cam lifter dealio here. Just a tiny little bit. And to persuade this one, we're going to use a 14mm socket. Looks perfect. And now we have one more seal up here at the top. And we're going to do the same thing. And it just goes right up here at the top, right inside out. And the same thing, we're going to use the 14mm for a little persuasion. And there you go, we should be nice and flush there. We are. Nice and flush there, nice and flush there. As long as we're on the front of here, let's just go ahead and put in our drain plug with the crush washer. Just goes right down here. We'll have to remember to torque that. I don't know what the torque specs are off the top of my head, but we'll get that torqued once we get that in the motor. And there we go. Now we can assemble the inside of this dog. So the first thing we're going to do is let's just go ahead and get our drain plug, our oil dipstick, hooked on there. And I'm going to use a tiny little bit of assembly lube on here too. And of course it just slides right up on here. And then it just goes right in here. Alright, and next is going to be our decompression cam follower shaft. And what we're going to do is we're just going to poke him up through. Actually, before we do that, let's put a little assembly lube on here too. And then we'll just poke him right through. And through the shaft, through the seal. And then we have a spring, which goes this direction. And hooks inside this little guy, hooks inside of here. And this little guy, let's get a little assembly lube on here. And it goes facing this direction with this down. And then you can see this little cutout is going to hit this guy, kind of like so. And then it's going to hook onto there. And now, there you go. So it's going to wrap here, wrap on there, and sit just like that. And then we have a little snap ring that goes on here. So these snap ring pliers are actually backwards. You want the kind that's spread. But I only have this one because it has a small enough teeth to grab this little one. But it's okay, it's so small that we'll just pull it to open it up. Alright, and there we go. And now next we're going to put our clutch lifter in, and what we're going to do is it's going to need we got a brand new pin. It looks like this with some little teeth on it. And what's going to happen is it's going to go in this little hole right here. And we're going to have to drive that in there once we get it through. and it's going to hook this spring right here, which is going to be tricky. So let's get us a little bit of a lube on here. That was too much. I didn't mean to put that much on there. Okay. So we're going to send it through the top. Then we're going to turn it over to the side right here. And we're going to put a little bit of assembly lube onto this spring here. And then it is going to hook right here and go underneath. So the hook is going to go right there. Now comes the tricky part. We need to get this right here. We need to get the pin in there and hook it and drive it in somehow. Alright, so check this out. I had to get creative. So I found a magnet and I snapped the little pin onto the end of the magnet and then line it straight up and down like so. Get that fucking spring out of the way. Now take your punch oh no. No. I need a bigger one of these. That's what she said. Woohoo! I'll be here all day. So this one's going through. So I need a bigger one to be on the outside of there. Alright, so we got a wider one now. Now we're in there. There. So now we just turn it around. There. And now we got it hooked. Alright, now we take the lifter piece here. That's what they call this, a lifter piece. Alright, the lifter piece. And see when we flip this up right here? There, leaves a little, align that with the indent. And that's all there is to that. So I guess what it does is when we crank it, it lifts that up. Alright, now we got the cover assembled. And we're ready to cover this dog up and seal it up and move on to the other side. Yeah, let's get the stator done. But first, let's get this stuff in here. First off, we took off the Kickstarter pieces so that we could get that Kickstarter in there. So let's get these on. And it's going to be the spring seat. So before we put the Kickstarter assembly on, let's get us some assembly lube up on here. And let's just hit the clutch gears and the Kickstarter. And let's hit us the and let's get some on the oil pump. Yeah, let's just put a whole bunch in here. It's not gonna hurt nothing. Alright, so there we go. And then what you want to do is you want to start out with the spring seat. And then the spring. And then what you want to do is you want to take this big end right here, this big opening, and line it up with the notch here. And there you go. And make sure that goes all the way down like that. And that's where that's going to belong. And then we have a washer, a thrust washer that goes on the end. Alright, and then next, let's put us in our screen, our oil screen, which is going to go right in here. And I don't know how, it doesn't say in the manual which way that goes, but this end has a wider, has a deeper opening than this end, than this side. So I would think you'd want to put it with the deeper end open so that it collects more shit coming out of here, I suppose. We'll just press that in there. And last but not least, let's get our clutch bearing in there, and we're going to put the writing out. And it's just going to sit right on in here. And then of course let's get a little bit of a assembly lube on this guy. And I want to get this off our gasket surface. Alright folks, I think we're ready to install the cover. Flip sides. And let's get this dog into the bike and get this goddamn thing fired up. Fire it up and let the engines roll. It's time to burn it down. Woo! Alright folks, let's move on. Alright, next we can install our dowel pins, and I'm going to take a little bit of a waterproof grease. One goes here. And one goes here. That's our maximum waterproof grease, which is going to serve another purpose. I'm going to align the whole outside of here with a light coat, and that'll help our gasket sit into place, and in case we need to pull it apart, it'll also help us if we need to crank it back apart, which I hope we don't have to do. Alright, now we just want to double check everything, make sure we got everything in there. I think we're ready. Let's drop the gasket. We're going to do the same to this case right here, the outside. And I'm not gonna film the whole thing. You understand what's happening here. I'm gonna come back. Alright, now we can drop our gasket down, and we're gonna align the dowel pins first. So they are right here and right here. See, this is where our grease comes in handy. We can stick everything down and it sticks to the grease. Alright, we'll just drive this guy down. Make sure that comes through the seal. And we align these guys, and then we pull this and there we go. And then we just put the bolts in, and we torque them into, we zip them down, and we'll torque them. All right, now we can drop our bolts in and get this thing ready to rock and roll. We got two 50s. One's going to go here, and one is going to go here. And then we have our clutch bracket, which is going to be a 32 millimeter, and it's going to go right up here. And then we have one here, 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 and we should have one here and here, but I don't have them. So this is gonna suck. I'm going to have to go locate a couple of bolts, and if I can't find them, then I'm going to be in trouble. Alright folks, So I rummaged around through my stuff and I found a couple of, we need 32s, but I have 30s. These will work just fine because we're going to put one where the bracket is, because that's always notorious for having this little piece snapped off back here anyway, because without this, the bolt is too long at 32 and sometimes cracks that. So we can get away with a 30 right here. See, that's plenty. And we can get away with a 30 right here because this right here is where the decompression cable bracket goes, which I don't have. And we're going to use the decompression unit from a TRX 200SX, which is a manual one. So we don't need this anyway. We're not going to use it. I don't have the cable. So we can get away with a 30 right here because we're not using the bracket, which the 32 would take into consideration another thick bracket like this. So we can do it. Just looks funny now that I have two brand new bolts on on two of these, but let's start cranking these down. We'll just snug it up a little bit and we'll go crisscross. All right, now we're going to put a little bit of pressure. Oh, we forgot one. Forgot another one. Forgot another one. All right, now let's put a little bit more pressure on them, just a little bit. All right, now we can get these babies torqued down. And we are completed on this side, baby. Woo! All right, so the manual calls for just to tighten them down in 2 to 3 steps, which we did, but I like to use a torque wrench, and so that way it gives every bolt the same amount of pressure and it keeps everything perfect. But, you know, for the clutch cover here, you probably can just tighten them down like we just did and be done with it. But I'm going to go ahead and go one step further, and I'm just going to crank these down to a small number, like 4 foot-pounds. That'll be 48 inch-pounds. So let's get these babies torqued up. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. All right. Whoo! We're done, baby. We're done with this side. We got us a clutch. We got us a Kickstarter. We got us a decompression lever. We got us a drain plug. We got the seals in. We got our dipstick. Dipstick. We watch Dukes of Hazzard. Hells yeah. All right. So, now we can flip this dog on over. Next video, we're going to flip this dog on the other side back here. We're going to bust out the stator and the flywheel and all that good stuff. We're going to get that side torqued up, and then we're going to crank this baby into the frame, and we're going to assemble the top end on the trike. I just find it's easier that way for some reason. We'll get this baby in there, and we'll be able to hook up all this stuff much easier, you know, without all the hassle. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to ring that bell, and click all, get notified. When all the stuff coming up, you want to see the other side of this motor get put together, you gotta stay tuned. Oh yeah. And you know, I apologize for this one taking so long, but we had to wait for those gaskets. But we're ready. We're ready to rock and roll. long as we don't come across any of these missing bolts again. Luckily, I had a couple hanging out. So, whoo! All right. You know what time it is. Peace out, Girl Scouts. Woo!